Hello. I'd like to spend 5 minutes to talk to you about what we consider at Midstream to be a good quality product, because I think sometimes it's very easy to get carried away with such a large selection of LED floodlights out there. How do you choose one that's well built and right for the application? Well, what we consider could be different from others, but I'll tell you our point of view. And that is basically an LED floodlight ultimately has to provide the illumination on the ground with the least amount of energy and the least amount of cost. That is really the outcome that you're looking for. But how do we do that in a way that lasts for a long time and works very well and doesn't degrade over time? Well, one of the key criteria of an excellent high quality product is the heat dissipation. LEDs absolutely hate heat, and they generate a lot of it when you put a current. So the most important thing is to build your system in a way that allows you to get rid of that heat and out into the air. And that is normally done with a proper calculation of a heat dissipation solution. We use something called extruded aluminum heat sinks. So these are very high surface area aluminum heat sinks, and they allow us to move the heat away from the LEDs and out into the air. This is important, but it all goes down to the design of the system. What kind of LEDs, what is their typical operating temperature, what is their maximum temperature, and how do we work within the framework of our product? It's a fine balance, and it's not done by accident. So what may have happened 2 years ago will be different in 2 years' time, because LED technology develops. And so as that develops, their heat dissipation needs to adjust to their working temperature. Another thing to think about is how robust these products are. Will they survive in a harsh environment, which could be high salinity, high wind, it could be very wet areas or very dry, lots of sand. So we think about a product from a material standpoint. So for example, stainless steel is an important aspect, and in very coastal areas we prefer to employ 316 grade stainless steel. That is the highest quality of stainless steel that you can buy in the market without going into very specific and specialist alloys. Another thing we think about is how our construction is robust. Will it be able to withstand high winds and vibrations? And once we've designed that, we then test it to understand that it does withstand the different levels of vibration you can have, for example, in a port, on an airport, or even with wind. Sometimes the wind can create some kind of a wind tunnel, and you have all types of different wind forces in effect. The luminaires have to be very well built and very well connected to the mast system to withstand those. So I think that's very important. Another aspect is going to be how do we provide the light levels on the ground, and we use that through our own proprietary design optics. These optics allow us to really tackle the challenges of each application specifically. So whether that's aviation, sport, or maritime, each application will require their own optic lenses because the shapes of the areas we tend to illuminate are very different. Consider an apron area. The length could be 70 to 80 meters and the width could be several hundred meters. And we're trying to deliver 20 or 30 lux average. By a different area could be a port, which could be 500 by 500 meters. And we're looking to deliver 50 lux across that whole area. And it has containers. So those container stacks will create shadows. So we're thinking about the lenses that will allow us to give us a narrow beam along the corridors between the container stacks. And the third could be, as an example, a stadium, where you have a 60 by 100 meter playing field, very small in comparison, but needs 1,500, 2,000 lux, with strong requirements for uniformity and vertical levels. So very different applications. And so lenses will play a very important role, and these lenses have to be designed for the specific task. So think about the experience that the supplier has in working with these applications. Another aspect could be how we select our electronic components. And these are ones which typically need to be tested in many applications, thousands of cycles, and they have to be well known in the market because sooner or later electronics need to be replaced or they need to be redeveloped, and we need to have strong supply chain to be able to work with our customers for many, many years in the future. We have many customers where in one instance they have bought something 10 years ago and 10 years later have replaced the whole system with the next generation. And that means we've had to support them for 10 years and be ready when they need to make the new investment to have the latest and the best technology. So investment into R&D is the final point I want you to make. Always be innovating, ensuring you're using the latest LED and driver technology to provide your customers with the best solution possible today. Thank you and have a nice day.